No medical license currently, not giving medical advice. This video is purely educational and informational. And perhaps some idiot commenting on YouTube who believes stupid fear-mongering. And perhaps this video will discourage you from being a drug addict. So what is drug addiction like? What are drug addicts like? And now, of course, there are all sorts of different drugs, but the behaviors that will ensue are the same for certain drugs. I will just say stimulants and opioids. Well, highly pleasurable stimulants and opioids. So to put that simply, like heroin and meth, or fentanyl and meth. It's pretty simple. The use of those drugs, or in combination, because people use them together. Right now in California, it's real popular to use fentanyl and methamphetamine together. I don't mean popular as in people are doing it going to parties. I mean, it's just flooded the circulation, and lots of people are addicted to it. So yeah, what would a meth and fentanyl addict be like? Well, we don't have to say what would they be like, because I'll tell you actual examples of what actual people are like. And it's very ubiquitous that most people end up the same. It's sad, it sucks, destroys their life. So basically, when you use those substances, they give you an amount of pleasure that you can't get from anything else. So normally you go through your everyday life, you do things, maybe you put on a shirt you like, you look in the mirror, it gives you a little pleasure boost. Makes you feel good for a moment. Then you go over, you hug your wife, you kiss her, gives you a little pleasure boost. You feel good for a moment. You do something, you feel good, you work hard, you feel good. But when you start using those drugs, you feel really good. And now, because you're already up here, you look at yourself in the mirror, that little bump, it doesn't compare to this big, massive surge. So you don't feel anything. Then you go, you hug your wife, you kiss her or something, you don't feel anything. You do whatever, you don't feel anything because you already got that really massive feel-good pleasure response from the drugs. And that's extremely problematic when there's no longer anything in life besides the drugs that will give you that pleasure that you seek. What do you think that means? Think about it. If your pleasure meter has been screwed up, and now nothing gives you pleasure in comparison to that drug, it means probably the only thing you care about in life now is being able to use that drug, which also means you really care about being able to get that drug. Now that is an important part, because a lot of drug users are not financially stable, or they were financially stable, but now you toss the drugs into the picture, which costs money, and now they're not financially stable. And remember that the only thing that matters to them in life is that drug, and they need to get that drug, which means a lot of them, because this is how humans are going to do anything they can, anything they need to do to get more of that drug. But remember, money's a limiting factor for a lot of them. So that means they're going to resort to stealing, some of them are going to resort to doing sexual acts. Stealing is more common. Borrowing money that they'll never pay back. They can really do a number on their family and friends because they will steal and borrow from them and just drain them of money for their drugs. They will sell their stuff. That's a big one. If you want to get a good deal on something, you want to find a drug addict who has run out of their drugs and needs more money to buy more drugs. So then you just go and, hey, I'll give you $100 for your laptop. Now, not a junky laptop. Let's say it's a MacBook Pro, but he doesn't have his drugs. You're like, well, I'll give you this $100 for your MacBook Pro. He's going, it's worth a lot. He'll take the $100 because he cares about having $100 worth of drugs or she, a lot more than that MacBook Pro. Now, not everybody's like this, but this is a general thing that is very common in drug addicts. And that's why it's good to know drug addicts. But probably I shouldn't have told you this secret. Not that you should take advantage of them. You should be nice to them. They're people too. And I'm serious. I'm not joking. But you can get good deals on things. But that's what sucks about being a drug addict, is you wake up one day and you got nothing because you sold your laptop, you sold your TV, you sold your car. Probably the car is going to go last because they need the car to drive and get the drugs. They need the car. I mean, who knows, maybe they live where you can take a metro or bus. Point is, they will sell everything they own. I know someone that only realized they had a problem when this was someone who loves surfing, and he was about to sell his surfboard, and that's what he does, he surfs. He's about to sell his surfboard. Good thing he realized that was a problem. Other people, they'll sell everything they have, then they'll start stealing from their family, from their friends, and maybe they'll even just break into random people's houses to steal stuff. That's why drug addicts are problematic, because when they're really addicted, all that matters to them is the drugs. So they'll do whatever they can to get money for those drugs. And if it's a girl, and I know I mentioned this in some video, I can't remember what the video was about. But yeah, girls, what do you think happens with them? And now you're going to get some woman out there going, but guys can do that too. Or maybe some beta male. Yeah, occasionally guys do it also, but it's real common with girls to turn to just whoring themselves out for drugs. That's the reality. It doesn't matter if you like it or not. A girl who gets addicted to drugs, it's a lot easier to sell your body than it is to break into people's homes to steal stuff. Why on earth would they go through all that trouble when they can just sleep with a guy? And the bad's good if they can just do a deal, get some money, go. But what happens a lot of times is they end up in a relationship with a guy who provides them with drugs in return for sex. Usually not the best guy, because normal guys don't do that. It's probably a drug addicted, perhaps a gang member even type guy. Not that gang members are that. What I mean is it's not a good person generally. Sadly, I've seen it happen, not with a strong, dangerous person that I've seen it happen with, people that are dangerous, with guns and stuff, who could cause physical harm. But I've also seen it just with beta males that was how they got their girls, and the girls die. That's what happens when you use drugs a lot. Good chance you're gonna die. So I think that if a guy is trading drugs for sex, that he's, I don't know how you would classify it, but assisting in death of the girl. I mean, but when it results in death, yeah. I don't know what you want to call it, but yeah, they might not necessarily be long for but that's anybody on drugs. People that use drugs are at a much higher risk of dying. One, because drugs themselves are dangerous. Two, because you don't know what else is in the drugs. Three, because the dosage is not it's not coming in a well-regulated tablet or a vial that's a certain concentration. It's coming in if they have a scale that can measure meth, put it on their scale. But if it's fentanyl, it's mixed with other stuff, and you don't know how much actual fentanyl is in there versus sugar filler, so they're just tossing it on some aluminum foil and putting a lighter underneath it, or they're dissolving it in some stuff, shooting it up. Heroin, they're putting a glob of tar on some foil. Point is, it's dangerous. But that's not about their person. Topic of the video is about how they are, how they act. They act desperate for more of that drug because, like I said, it's the only thing that matters now. because it's the only thing that brings them pleasure. Nothing else matters. Perhaps you couldn't even fathom this, but when someone's really addicted to drugs, they will just stay inside, just doing the drug constantly all day long. That's all they do. All they do. Now maybe they're watching TV while they're doing it. I don't really count that as doing something. Their primary activity is doing drugs. The TV is just secondary. Especially if they're using opioids, they're using them, probably gonna pass out for a while, then they'll wake up, and they'll use it again, pass out for a while, then they'll wake up, and they'll use it again. Maybe they don't pass out, and maybe they eat something. They don't eat too. Like I said, all they do is use drugs. They eat like the bare minimum to get by. They don't do anything. They don't just use drugs. Now, of course, everybody's different. There are people that at least for some amount of time, or who knows, maybe even their whole life, can use drugs and be functional. I've seen someone not doing good now. He was a pro bodybuilder. Used meth and heroin every day. He was able to stay real nice and skinny because he had no... Okay, so a lot of times people eat for pleasure. When you're on lots of drugs that give you pleasure, you no longer have an addiction to food because you're addicted to drugs. So he was able to stay shredded all the time. Plus the meth keeps your metabolism kind of high and gives you energy. And so he's on meth and heroin. He doesn't feel pain. Now, do not do this. It's not good. His life's a disaster now. But he'd have lots of energy, feel no pain, he'd go to the gym, work out super hard, take his steroids. He was also on steroids. He was in great shape. It didn't last. Because it's not something that can last. It's really a matter of time. I mean, who knows? There might be someone out there that can do it forever, but it's really a matter of time before your life just flips upside down or your life ends. Do not do drugs. Drugs are horrible. I don't think anything I just said would encourage you to do drugs. I mean, unless you're like, oh, great, it's going to be better than everything else in life. Yeah, except your life is going to become worse than it could possibly be from anything else. But it's no way to go through life being a slave to some substance. It means nothing else you do in life matters. Not good. Horrible. I think I've already explained why it's horrible. But yeah, one more time. It's gonna destroy your life or end your life. Please like, subscribe, and comment. Check out my website, andrewhutchings.org, for consultations on training, plans, coaching, whatever, on training, on diet, on supplements, special supplements, but you don't need them because you can be a natural bodybuilder, or just, you don't need to be a bodybuilder, you can just get in shape naturally. Like me, maybe you can't tell, but I'm actually a pro bodybuilder, and I did it without steroids. You can too. Well, perhaps you don't want to, but you can. Or you can just get in good shape. But if you are going to use steroids, I can't give medical advice, but I can give medical information on them, and you may as well get some information on them so you can make intelligent decisions and not harm yourself and get the best results possible. Also, I have a book on tendonitis called A Systematic Guide to Defeating Tendonitis. I recommend you open up a new tab on Amazon, you find the fast shipping option, you get it ASAP so you stop living life in pain. I can't remember if I said the name of my website, andrewhutchings.org, and my Instagram is natural_true_fitness. Please like, subscribe, and comment.